Hello everybody, welcome to this channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about plugins that we most likely going to use when we are recording vocals. And in a previous video, I actually talked about microphones and recording with Logic Pro 10 and all sorts of settings and stuff. If you're interested, you can check it out. It's just the basic recording requirements. In this video, I'm going to focus on some plugins, and they actually come with the DAW that you have sometimes, especially Logic Pro 10 I'm using. They do have different plugins that we can use so that you don't have to buy them. But I'm more familiar with the purchase ones because I use those a lot as well. So I'm trying my best to show you guys what Logic Pro 10 may have. Let's pretend this track, the first track is what I'm using right now to do my vocal recording right now for this video. And let's pretend the next track, this vocal track, is whatever I have that I have to I've recorded. Let's pretend that actually they are from the Apple Loop. If you are on the keyboard, press O and that shows you all sorts of stuff like piano, mallets and organs and vocals. There we go. And if you type in melody, and it shows you all different things that you might have. If you type background, then there's background vocal as well. So it's pretty useful and they're free. And if you purchase Logic Pro 10, you can download these contents for free. And if I press O again, it disappears. So some shortcuts you want to check out is pretty useful, so that you don't have to use your mouse all the time. Okay, let's pretend I chose these. Let's pretend these are my vocal recordings. Okay, and how to make them sound better. First of all, is the noise gate. Noise gate. These are plugins. Plugins are emulation of the real world stuff. Like some of them you must have heard of, like reverb, delays, compressor, limiters, noise gates, and this one is one of them. What it does is there's a threshold, meaning when the signal is actually louder than that, like louder like over here, and the noise gate will let them pass. And there are different settings to make it sound smoother as well. So and anything under, let's say the background noise, let's say the statics of your room, and you know, your microphone and all the cables and all that, sometimes they may have some noise. Anything below that, softer than that, is going to cut out. So it's not going to be there. And this is one way to clean up your vocal when you're recording. Let's hear this guy.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, when you look at the wave file, you see these little things here. When we are recording vocals, sometimes I will use Melodyne to make it smaller so that it's not as obvious. This Apple Loop is already fixed, right? So let's pretend when you're recording something, your breathing is like so loud, and you want to fix that. And it's one way to do it is to fix the waveform itself. Sometimes when you're doing live gig, the noise gate can help as well. If you're doing the setting right, some other plugins there is like a knee, like make it softer. So I can go into that later when I go into the other third-party plugins. But let's say this is the noise gate.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if I make it more obvious, let's say the threshold is like, I make it really high so that if the vocal is loud enough, it will pass. If not, it will not.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey.
So you see, and that's what happened.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that wasn't very smooth. So I have to turn it down a little bit more. And here's the reduction. Like if it's lower than that, I think, lower than the threshold, it's going to reduce it by that amount.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you see, when it's very extreme, the breathing is gone, and some of the vocal parts actually becomes very choppy. So you have to adjust this right and to make it sound good. So noise gate is one of the way to clear up some of the background noise that you have when you're recording. Now the next one people are crazy about is the compressor. Okay, let's move this away. I have 3 screens, so I can throw stuff away to my other screens. For vocal, let's choose this opto one. Apparently it sounds better. And I can turn it up a little bit higher. Basically, again, there's a threshold. Come on. Okay, threshold. And any signal higher than this, louder than this, it gets compressed. So here's your vocal signal. Okay, here's your vocal signal. Let's say my threshold is here. So anything higher than that is going to get compressed. And in the end, we bring up everything to the original volume. So let's say your vocal track is very, like, the dynamic is very dynamic. You have very loud part, you have very soft part. Now, if you want people to hear the soft part without clipping the louder part, then you have to compress it. So the loud part get compressed, and then you bring up everything. So now the soft part with color, like when people are singing very soft, like the coloring is actually there, but the volume is not there. So you keep the coloring of the vocalist, but you bring up the volume automatically without doing like the fader thing. Okay, this compressor is going to help you with that. So you compress all the loud part, you bring up all the soft part and loud part together. Now your dynamic is squeezed, so it's compressed, but actually it sounds better if you are doing it right. Anyway, so I am just going to hear this now with the compressor.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now my gate was a little bit extreme. I'm just going to fix it. And the compressing part, let's see. This is auto gain, so it brings everything up.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You see this needle? It's the meter, when it's compressing, when it's working, it's actually moving. So it's compressed by 10 decibel. And then because of the auto gain, it brings everything up automatically. So overall, it sounds louder. It squeezed the wave file.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Without the compressor.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just going to make it very extreme.
Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, it brings up everything. So with a compressor, why do we want to use that? It's when we are recording, we want to hear all the soft part, all the emotional part, as well as the loud part. Of course, the singer is going to yell into the mic, right? But the soft part, we want to hear the color, we want to hear the emotion. That's why compressor is also a very important tool to use. Now the last plugin is in the chain. I usually have another one here. Let's see. It's a limiter. Dynamics, limiter, stereo. Okay, I put it on the stereo out. Okay, but here there is one. Okay, so I press on and I adjust it to -0.2 so that the signal will never go over that. And if you are doing multiple tracks, doing everything together, sometimes it gets over the limit, it gets into the red, and I put a limiter on. But some people don't put this on the stereo track because we don't want it to be over, to be clipping in the first place. If you're mixing it well, you don't want to have it in the go over anywhere anyway. It should be like maybe -6 dB around, but anyway, this is just for a demo purpose. Okay, let's say if I don't have the limiter on.
Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah.
So is that obviously going over into the 3.1. Now, if we have the limiter on and the gain, no gain, let's see, I can't really see, this is so small. Output level, let's say -1, okay? So now, if we do this again.
Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah.
You see here, the stereo out is never going beyond the -1, even though this is clipping. Now that's why I say, like, you have to make sure at every single point of your signal flow there's no clipping, otherwise your signal is bad. Here this channel is over, so even though this is -1, it's still clipping, because at some point during your signal flow you have to watch very carefully. If you have multiple plugins, like sometimes I have like, I don't know, 5 or 6, you have to make sure each one of them is not going over your limit, and make sure your signal is good at every point of your signal flow. Okay, now so usually I have a noise gate, I have a compressor, I have a limiter just in case that I go over. Same setup if I'm going to do a live gig or whatever, and which is something to start with if you are recording your vocal and you want to have make sure your technical stuff, your vocal, your plugins, some of those most likely used plugins, I would say the noise gate, compressor, and limiter first of all. And there's also like delay and reverb, and that I can go over into another video later on if you're interested. So if you have any question, leave me a comment, and if you have any other topics or anything about Logic Pro 10 or recording or plugins and anything like that you want to know about, leave me a comment. I might do a video to talk about them. Thank you for watching. See you next time.